remember my first exposure to acting. I was a houseboy, and my name was John. I was 4 years old and in nursery one. And I remember the lines, John, sir, bring me some palm kernels. And of course, I, John, had to bring the palm kernels. Now, as I grew, my love for the arts heightened. I found myself doing things that endeared me to things such as public speaking, like being a member of the press club. I participated in debates for representing the schools I attended. That was from primary school to secondary school. And in university, a bachelor's of sciences in mass communication. Now, my experiences in life, in addition to my talents and the skills I acquired over time, are things that I have come to put together to make myself relevant in my time. There were times that I was just so sore and felt very hollow and didn't know what to do. But I would draw every willpower from things such as acting, reading, writing. I just had to be expressive. That was it for me. I'm a rape survivor, but that doesn't define me. It's important that I mention it so that you appreciate where I come from. I was born Nigerian. I've had a blast being Nigerian. Unapologetically Nigerian, I am. Being Nigerian and a woman, there are certain things that it's important to point out. Nigeria is largely inspired by patriarchy. And what does patriarchy do? Patriarchy tries to make women, or force women to see themselves as human only after every man around has seen themselves as a human being. Now that's very wrong. The implication of this is that a lot of times, a lot of violations are meted out on women or the feminine folk just to please the ego of the male folk. It starts from the way the kids are raised, the grooming given to people, and when they grow up, the manifestations of the grooming is pretty much detrimental, not only on the individuals, but on the society at large. Now, part of the things that also gives me room for concern are concepts of peace and conflict resolution. I'm very of the opinion that everybody has a personal space, and a lot of the issues we have in the world today are inspired by people disrespecting the personal spaces and boundaries of others. Now, when that is done, whoever's space is invaded tends to show some degree of disgust or upset. But how is this handled? That amounts to how conflict is resolved. Now, my worry is that a lot of decisions taken in conflict resolution are not taken from informed perspectives. People are not knowledgeable enough to apply appropriate measures to peacefully settle conflicts. Now, to this extent, I've sat down and thought about the Nigerian realities and the way forward. What are the Nigerian realities? Nigeria has over 60% of its population as youths, more females exist in the Federal Republic of Nigeria than males. The poverty level in Nigeria is astounding. Over 80% of Nigerians live below the poverty line. Over 60% of Nigerians are estimated illiterate, and that's very worrisome to me. Now, the influences of illiteracy and poverty are very disheartening and scary, to put it mildly. The influences of these factors are pretty much detrimental, have been detrimental on Nigeria or to Nigeria and the world at large over time. Nonetheless, all hope is not lost because I strongly believe that the influence of arts combined with the power of the media is the unsuspecting saving grace, is the bridge to address the problems that we face. If people have better information on their rights as regards things like sexual reproductive health, sexual reproductive health rights, probably the Child's Rights Act, disability rights, violence against persons prohibition act. You know, tendencies are that there will be an attitudinal change because nobody wants to be linked to the consequences of being on the wrong side of the law. A lot of people just feel that they're not even aware what powers they have as are provided for by the law. Now, what do? As a grassroots reorientator, I try to document real life stories so that people can make a connection. And I break it down to pidgin English or the closest language that I can afford to, whatever, or the closest native language for the benefit of those at grassroots. I'm of the opinion that a lot of time when messages are fed into the system, midway they get lost. And what has been in practice is that messages come from top to bottom. But I'm of the opinion that messages should go from bottom to the top. Why? Because we have more of a population of human beings or beneficiaries of such messages at the bottom. So it means that if we lose traction midway, more people had benefited if we started from bottom up.
That's right.
Successfully broken barriers of grooming inspired by patriarchy by going to school and empowering myself with knowledge. And I dare say that irrespective of the fact that I went to school, there were issues that I couldn't handle on my own. That I don't think anybody should be let to handle on their own. And that's why I do what I do to ensure that the hurts I faced are not experienced by other people. I'll give you a typical example. I had this accident when I was 4 years old that left me with a bent finger. And I got used to being taunted with the name bent finger, 9.5 fingers. So fast forward, when I got raped the first time at 8 years old, I didn't trust anybody enough to speak about it because I didn't know what name I was going to be taunted with. And so many times, our actions or inactions translate into promoting or supporting harmful practices within our neighborhoods. To that effect, I use the entertainment media for grassroots reorientation. That's what I'm convinced is the way forward, because no matter how illiterate you are, even if you don't understand the language, you can see my emotions, or you can see the painting, or you can hear the storyline and whatever. And you see somebody crying, you can easily relate with the person crying. I do social work, and I use my work to break down my convictions on concepts of social inclusivity, social justice, access to justice for everybody, peace, conflict resolution, boundaries, and the necessity to carry everybody along. Look, it's proven over time that people, especially the rural women, pay loans up better and faster. And we also know that with issues of people with disabilities, they contribute a lot. They have capacity to contribute a lot to the systems. But guess what? We don't maximize our potentials as a people, and it's detrimental to us in the long run. Now, there are such things called the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm a firm believer of the Sustainable Development Goals, and I know for sure that for the Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved, all hands must be on deck. Everybody must understand their importance in achieving these goals. These are goals that ensure world development, sustainable over time, meaning if Nigeria is doing so well in those particular areas and our neighboring countries are doing so well in those particular areas, it rubs off on everybody, and there's a general growth in those areas. And I'm a very firm believer of the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm breaking down how we can achieve these goals to people at grassroots level so that they also can consciously work towards it is something that I am passionate about. So breaking down these the content of the sustainable development goals to people at grassroots levels so that they see that they are important for the realization of these goals is something I'm passionate about. Now, let's not forget that I was largely inspired by a lot of people I watched on TV growing up. I got a lot of the counseling I did and inspiration to do what I do from people like Oprah Winfrey, the Tyler Perrys, and I'm very largely inspired by Christian Amanpour, and so I'm not scared to go to anywhere to get the news as it is and serve it hot as it should be. I have the audacity to do it and do it right. I'm a co-founder of the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation, and we use the entertainment media for grassroots reorientation. Why entertainment media? People can relate to drama, people can relate whether it's on the TV, on the radio, or on the internet. People can relate with film, people can relate with music, people can relate with paintings, people can relate with poetry, people can relate with whatever. But those are primarily the content of the entertainment media. Now, putting in deliberately fusing in useful content to shape our futures or that will contribute to the shaping of our futures is something I am passionate about. I'm Dorothy Njemanze, a social entrepreneur, no, extrapreneur. Why extrapreneur? Because my work is supposed to make entrepreneurs of millions of people even long after I am no more. Yes, so I'm an extrapreneur. And how can I best tell the story of the fact that humanity is universal, that human dignity is universal, that everybody's hands must be on deck to ensure the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals? Simple. Nigeria, my platform. And that's entrepreneurship from my eyes.